So Johnny talked about carrying a saw blade in a belt. So, and I happened to, he didn't bring his, so he made this for me. So it makes a nice, just a nice saw storage container for setting in the bottom of your pot anyway, right? But yeah, usually I won't try not to get caught without a saw blade rolled up in the bottom of my pot if I'm going sawless. When you take a saw, or what determines if you take a saw in the bush is if you know darn well that you're going to be cutting a night's full of firewood to stay warm and that. Well, take a saw. What are you doing? What are you doing? The saw blade rolled up in the bottom of your can is for if you don't know, and as precaution. It weighs, I put one on a scale and I think it was about an ounce. So now that you know how to build a frame, you carry an ounce, and if you had to do some major stuff and fell trees and do all kinds of things. So that's the purpose of carrying that saw blade. So this is the belt Johnny makes, and it's hard to find something that you can slide a belt into, so he's put a full-length zipper into this thing. So it makes it really easy to get the saw blade in and out. The biggest issue I find with the blade in a belt is I'm too small. I got 30-inch because I only have a 32 waist, so to make the belt comfortable, I have to go 30-inch or smaller too, which is okay, but that's, so if you're big, you can put a 36-incher on there. So just
layers in your pants.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just okay. All right, yeah, so this is Tom Roycraft. I only met him a couple times. What a card. His sense of humor was amazing. The first time Morris took me to his house to introduce him to him, he's going like, hey, like you're my guru, I'm his guru. And Tom comes up to me and shakes my hand and looks me in the eye. And he's silent for about, well, it felt like a long time, but probably 10 or 15 seconds. He goes, Kelly, eh? Means you're Irish and you like to fight. And this guy's 98 years old, eh? I just busted a gut. And then we take off to, well, ironically, Kelly's bathtub, which has nothing to do with me, of course. And we're meeting there and getting things signed and all this stuff. And Morris is expounding on the virtues of this great pack, and he's trying to, you know, get the excitement up, and he's trying to get Tom to chime in. And he goes, "Come on, Tom, tell him about how you thought, you know, about the pack." And Tom just so solemnly goes, "Meh, I invented a triangle." Just dryly, you know, that's all he said. That was it. So, well, yeah, so he did. He did a good job. He invented a triangle. 3 sticks lashed together. So structural, so we can do lots of things with this. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a few ways to utilize these puppies. So the easiest way to load them is pretend that the ground is your back. So I'm going to put this bar as if it's away from my back, like so. Now I got lots of lash points, and you notice 2 fingers, 2 fingers, 3 fingers, 3 or 4 fingers. You can configure them however. You can extend these if you're pulling something. Johnny told you the story about resting back with big loads and all that stuff. So really, really versatile. For some reason, though, where the pack is lashed, if you're using this length of material, seems to it just fits you, right? So lashing things onto this, I can lash to here, I can lash to these, I can lash to these, but it can be a little bit unwieldy. So to make your life a little easier, make some little slings and put them around like this. And of course they can move up and down, and so they're a little bit adjustable. It gives you 3, besides the corners, it gives you 3 more tie points. And then it's not so hard to fish your lashing, like you're not trying to reach in your load and tuck it around the frame. You don't have to. I mean, minimalistically, you can certainly lash right to the frame. 1, 2, 3. So I need comfort on my back. So the first thing I'm going to do is depending on what I'm lashing on, and you get so creative with these, there's so many ways to do things. I'm going to use my, my poncho. Does anybody see a poncho? Carry it over. It's here. It's here. I brought it over. I know I did. There it is. So I'm going to use a poncho. Summertime, that's a nice combination, nice way to use your poncho. If you don't need the poncho on you, you can use your blanket and then in turn wear the poncho over you and your pack if it's wet weather. But for the most part, if you're doing this kind of camping, there's a good chance that you'll have your poncho with you. So I'm going to put a diagonal on the pack.
What's the brand of that poncho?
This is just a U.S. military poncho. I like it because it's got snaps. It snaps together in such a way that you can use it as a bivvy bag around your blanket and stuff like that too. So, and I like my same psychology with clothing and wool and staying dry. I like it doesn't fare that great in the wind, but mostly it's not so bad in the you know, lots of airflow, lots of keep you dry. Okay, so I'm feeling for my frame. I put the head hole down and out of the way a bit. I can actually draw that tight if I want. If I can figure out how to release this little mechanism. I guess that's it. Oh no, there we go. Yeah, just so the stuff doesn't fall out. I'm putting that down there. Got my peak up there. Beauty. So I want to pack something soft in here. So if I have extra clothes or if I have socks, a fun video I did was packing a deer out of the bush in one trip. And for that I used a Roycraft, and what I put for the soft bits in the triangle was the tenderloins and the back straps, because they sort of filled that whole triangle and I could push them through a little bit, and it was totally fine against the back. In this case I'm going to use a blanket. The most important part is likely down by the cross piece there. And then after that, you can get quite unwieldy with what you need to put in. For example, I can put my canned goods, I can put my running shoes, my Morse pot, which is here in the baggie so that it doesn't get my stuff sooty. Stuff like this you can lash to the outside, but it's just as good inside. What else do I have that I can put in here? How about my Haversack? Nice combination to wear a blanket pack or a Roycraft and then have a Haversack for your stuff that you want accessible and food and stuff like that. So sort of handy. I'm going to fold the bottom up. And the sides. And the top. There, so that's our, the bottom first so that stuff doesn't fall out, and then the top last sort of so we have a waterproof configuration. Then to lash, in this case, I'm going to use paracord. Okay, there we go. Nice way to start is with a loop. Anything you want. Go crazy. What would be a good one to use that we learned? Bowline, yeah. Good as any. Or this is a figure 8, which is okay too. Just slide that one over the uprights. I'm going to come down and tie onto one of the little thingamaboppies. One of the little slings. Little thing I came up with is you're using a long lashing cord, and it's kind of a pain to pull it through everything. So I'll give you a couple strategies to do away with that, because you want it easy to do up and you want it easy to undo. So I'm going to take this cord and I'm going to put it through the loop. I'm going to insert a toggle. And that toggle now rolls like a ball bearing. You see that? When it comes time to go home, I just got to slack off and pull the toggle and it just all falls apart, right? Oh, here's a familiar looking knot. A square lash works, a diamond hitch works on a Roycraft. I had a couple guys prove to me that are horse guys, and wow, it actually worked pretty good. So here I go. I'm going to put a slippery figure 8, look at there. And slippery sheep bend. Here's slippery 3. Now, the fact that I didn't pull the whole cord through, now when I go to pull this cord tight, I can keep going. It doesn't undo it. Does that make sense? It's kind of an automatic lock. Then when I go home, I simply undo this, pull that, part it comes, pull the toggle out, pull the toggles, and away I go, okay? So rather than threading this whole thing through, so what happens in order to achieve that, just ignore this part here, pretend it's not there, snug it tight and tie your knot, and then I don't have to lock this off, because the chance of this pulling the loop, because it's around, does that make sense? But when you go to untie it, you just can't pull this. You have to thread this back a bit so that it will pull where it needs to pull, okay? Now I'm going to go here. Oops, pulled the wrong one. Toggle, or rather this goes through and then toggle. I can. So I've passed this through the sling that I've done here, and I've got a smooth twig as a toggle, and then watch how it just rolls up nice like that. Now I can come across to the other side and put a toggle in over there. So again, I'm threading the lashing line through and putting a toggle. And now I can do whatever I want. So I can go back to the top if I want, down to a corner, back to the top, down to another corner. And then finish off wherever, however you like, whatever your fancy. And this I'll just hank up. Another use of the hank. Those danglies. And that's it. So you can see I've got nice comfortable pad that's going to be against my back. Now to incorporate this into some kind of pack strap system, well, lots of options. Maybe I don't need a pack strap system. Maybe I could pretend for a bit that I'm a French Foreign Legionnaire and I just want to take my spear. And a great way to shoulder my bundle actually I'll kick those right off. I could put a little padding on my shoulder. I could put a little gouge in the bottom of the stick for comfort. Hell, I could use 2 sticks, right? So I could actually take a bit of weight without even having a pack strap, doing the hobo thing. But there are many, many ways to configure pack straps. You'll likely have to take spare socks. If you have your druthers, you'll likely take spare socks anyway. So if I do that to 2 socks. What's that?
You have stones you're dropping.
Yeah. What else could I use beside a stone?
Pine cone?
Sure, pine cone, a ball of grass, a knot from a rope, a little wooden plug, anything, or nothing. The top I could use, maybe I would use a couple pine cones on top and lash them to the top of the pack frame. But the bottom, I'd likely do a sheep band, right, works 100%, yeah, totally secure. And if you're cagey, you do a sheep band here and go around and then do a prusik, and you even have adjustable shoulder straps. If you want, you can stuff your sock full of grass if you think that maybe some extra padding in the socks would afford you some extra padding on your shoulders. But it actually won't. It's a fallacy. Actually, it's more about where the strap sits and how broad it is than what it's filled with. If you have a thick rope, hey? Oh. And anybody shoot anything in there that if they got questions as we fly? So a thicker rope, that's kind of a nice size. Now we're going to do a sort of a lark's head or girth hitch. I'm going to pass this through and over top like that so it comes from the inside, right? And then I can just take the pack and swing it and shoulder it thusly. Then I hook on the back corners and simply tie around my waist. Just a little longer than I need. You'd be surprised at how much at a rope this big. I just noticed the difference on my knife. This is a heavier neck knife. The difference between one strand of paracord times two, and it's like, wow, drastic. So as that little bit of surface area increases, you'll find that it's more comfortable than you think. It's not as bad as you think. Honestly, though, I need to say something too. When you pack really heavy loads, then instead of having a shoulder strap that's incorporated into a waist strap, what I find is as you're walking and things are stretching, and if your waist strap starts to loosen because it's starting to sink into your clothes, that's my ring. Then pretty soon the pack starts creeping down. When I packed the deer out of the bush, it was 70 pounds actually. And you know, by the time I'm out of the bush, already it's getting too low on my back. So in that case, you rig up separate shoulder straps and then a separate waist strap. Okay. Could I rig up a tump on this pack? Piece of cake. And boy, can you haul some loads on that. And the way I would rig up a tump, pretty darn easy. A strap, and then a simple paracord running, or any kind of cord. What's going on here? Isn't it? There we are. You could tie to the base, come up here, put a half hitch, then from here go to a sheet bend here. It pulls if you're going to use a tump from about this top third. It's a nice place to attach the tump line to, and it works out about right because your tump lines come across the top of your pack and to your forehead. So I could either tie a really tight constrictor, which you've learned now that won't slide, or I could tie to here, come up here and put a half hitch on either side and two strings that come up to either side of a tump line. Everybody know what a tump line is? For those of you that don't. So basically it's taking some weight with my forehead and neck muscles. And if you get it adjusted just correctly, you can like stretch your neck and it takes the strain off your shoulders, then relax your neck, and it takes the strain off your head and the shoulders take it. So you can kind of alternate around it. And it's actually, it's more efficient. You'd be surprised at the weights you can take. Like a lot of the world carries a lot of weight on their head and shoulders. That's probably philosophical saying that. Thanks, Arndell. That was a really good point. Yeah, so using the neck or the head opening of the poncho to make an easy access point for the pack, that's kind of a brilliant idea. Very good. Sometimes all you have for shoulder straps, it may be just a lowly piece of paracord. Right? So we're going to configure some, if you have nothing else, you can actually sit down on the ground, put this pack on. Oh. You can sit down, put this pack on the ground, and then stand up with it too if you really got it loaded down and you really feel the need. So for a light load, the string would probably be okay for a while. When you're carrying a pack, you're usually walking. When you're carrying a pack and walking, you're usually warm. It's got to be pretty cold to wear your mitts. So you might as well put them to service as padding, and then you know where they are, and if you need them, you got them right there. Then all of a sudden it takes this piece of string and basically makes it into a wide good pack. You get lots of surface area. Then Dad's trick is really cool. Sometimes you got to think out of the box a bit. Wow. So now I've bridged my collarbone and I'm resting on the fleshy part of my shoulder in my mammary. And now I can adjust that weight where it's biting in, and I can probably carry a load that you couldn't carry on a commercial pack with a couple of pairs of sticks. Right? Just thinking out of the box a little bit. Okay, let's examine some other things that we could use as pack straps. That indispensable piece of kit. Fold it a few times. Use your creativity. So as fragile as a shamog is, you fold it like that, and it'll likely be long enough that I can just maybe put a tie to the pack and then put a couple of sheep bends here and tie that to the bottom of the pack, and I may even be able to get by with both pack straps with just my lowly little shamog. Moore's favored pull tape or mule tape because he thinks this stuff is so valuable. It is, for its weight and how it folds up. And how it folds up, you just as many layers as you need to get the length. So this is probably going to be about, yep, that'll be long enough. So now you've got, and maybe that's an advantage, you've got all these little individual strands like sort of spreading out and doing their work, you know, if you're careful. Like he said, he likes to go even more than that because he thinks it's so valuable. What a great way to carry your webbing. So strong, so valuable. Then if you're cagey, to do it up, not long enough. To do it up, you can actually do a series of knots here. So put a couple knots in a couple places and you simply just pull it tight around your waist and pass the knot through. And on your waist, that's often all you need. Just a simple knot through a loop. Yeah. So that's his favorite. Okay, let's lash a couple other things onto these, give you guys some ideas. Oh yeah, let's see how that undoes now. Time to go home, or time to unpack, or you're at camp, or whatever the deal is. Ta-da! It's off, right? So a smooth way to deal with that. For fun sometime, I won't do it today, because we gotta get you guys going on friction fires fairly soon, but for fun sometimes I'll take the garbage can, the big full-size garbage can, and lash it onto my pack frame. So again, this is the side, the ground is my back. Totes and things like this, actually, they lash onto these things quite beautifully. Actually, maybe I'll use the other frame because it's already got my slings on there. Tom Roycraft had this thing so refined. Oh my goodness. You know, he had loops and things on it, so he could do more or less kind of a diamond hitch thing, but everything sort of just stayed on the pack, and he could quickly lash on and off and you know, because he just kept refining it, and so he had all the little nuances so well nailed. But again, not much rocket science here. I mean, the real fun of these packs is, in all likelihood, they can do things that commercial packs can't, or that would be very unwieldy. There's likely with a little creativity, nothing that you couldn't lash onto a Roycraft. I'm guessing. Oh, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna make a big bowline. Put it on there. Oh, not big enough. Yes, it is big enough. And stretch it to either side of this. Oh, just big enough. Then I'm going to come down one side of the handle here, one side of the handle here. And now again, instead of pulling it through here, what the heck, I'm just going to tie it off. You guys can't see this, but you'll see another one here shortly. I'm just doing a slippery sheet bend. I didn't feel like pulling the hank through. I'm going to come this way. And maybe go, actually before I do that, overzealous. Instead, I'm going to pull a double through here and bring the double all the way up here. I mean, there's lots of ways to do this, of course. Actually, I want that a little further back. Beauty of that slippery figure eight. So this, instead of using toggles, what I'm doing here to make sure that I don't get caught with having to pull the whole thing through is, well, I'm just doing that strategy where I'm pulling a double through. Now I can go, right? What's going on here? Oh no, I got a fail on that. There we go. And then the crucial one is probably these. This I'll pull through because now I'm getting short and reasonable. Ooh, it's going to be a mess in there. Same strap strategies. You have to just push apart to get your strap through. That's actually pretty good against the back. Surprisingly comfortable. Yeah, so without doing anything. Every once in a while, we have to take a real unwieldy load, like something that, whatever, 5-gallon jerry can of gas, or maybe I'm prospecting and carrying a dredge motor or something, right? Real life story. So, you know, how do you pack that thing in without it digging in your back? So, because there's no soft part. So in that case, what we're going to do is we're going to run the pack in reverse, and we're going to roll up something nice and soft and bulky, whatever we have. One of your layers, hopefully, your jacket. Usually hot when you're packing dredge motors. And we're going to do the opposite. Instead of putting that away from our back, we're going to put it towards our back. Ooh. But I'm still going to lash this on this way and then flip it over. Now that cross piece is going to end up being something that keeps our padding from slipping off the end of our Roycraft. And it's Roycraft, by the way, everybody, not Roycroft. I see a little bit of stuff buzzing out there on the web where the people weren't positive, but it is in fact Roycraft. If you don't know knots, learn some. You guys can probably see where I'm going with this. I don't need to go all the way with it, but just so you get the idea. How cozy, comfy you can be. Oh, thanks, mate. Okay, so now this gets the load lashed on this side, and then this goes against, oops, tighten that a bit. Once the load's on your back, that's the whole point. So you're using that crossbar. So once the load's on your back, your padding resists the urge to slide out the end of your pack frame, right? That's all. Okay. The Roycraft in a flash can be fashioned so quickly. You guys made pretty nice stuff today, but that's because you're going to hang it up and take it home. But if you're going someplace where you just need very often you just need something just to get you by very quick. Just guesstimating.
For a second. Just hit the microphone.
Thanks, buddy. Beaten up Tyler. Punk, punk, punk. Alrighty.
Slap your chest a couple times.
So could I lash these together round without doing any flattening? Of course I could, right? No problem at all. But for the sake of putting a couple of these on, because you'll notice that round on round, no good. Flat on round, good. So I don't even have to do both sides. I can just do the base of the uprights. In this case, and for lashing, whatever I've got. Here's a frame that was left over from the summer, done with a little narrow, but done with withies, birch withies, you know, rough, but still pretty darn good. Just for fun, we soaked a little spruce root and see how supple it is. Gorgeous stuff to work with. I just love being in the ecologies in the summertime where you just reach down on the moss and pull up a piece of string and, you know, just that sense of, I think that's supple enough. Going to start off with a simple overhand. Wind diagonally. Beauty. It's getting a little pudgy. So this has been stored dried, and we just give it a half-hour soak here. So it should be supple enough. I think. Am I clanking that mic again?
Yeah, that's right. If you want, I can move it.
How about this? Same principles as you guys use with the jammer. So you don't have to be too fancy on this stuff. Could have put one more wrap on that guy, but it should be pretty good. Yeah, one more piece. I could have, oh, that's a weird feeling. Who here's done that? Go to grab your knife and just you're so used to it being there and all of a sudden it's not there. It's like, ah, I'm naked. Holy crap. That's funny. We're terrible, eh? Oh, I might have cut that off a little short. Oh, crap.
You put it back.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I'll get used to it.
Give me 1 second. I'll just move the mic up.
Well, that's okay. Okay, see, look at that. I'm doing better, Dad. Universal law for splitting is to keep the split in the center. You bend the fat side using my fingers as a gauge. I'll get a much nicer tie with something long and thin than trying to be too bulky. Yeah, so it's soaked enough that I am getting a split. So it could have been soaked for a little bit longer, but it's okay. There. Now if I'm a little bit short for the frap, we're going for no knot. And then a frap. Oop. What do you think of that? Who wants to test that for tensile? Nathan? That's still okay. Don't get poked in the eye with a piece of root. Yeah, not much different than paracord, right? Yeah, when it's used correctly. What else have I got for you guys? We teach the forest rangers in Slave Lake. They often get in a situation where they need to shuttle water, and they get dropped off and they're traveling fairly light. They may have a bladder and they've got their Wajax bags, and if they're within reach of water, of course they use the pump to pump water and fill their bladders, and then from the bladders they fill their Wajax bags and on it goes, right? But so very often they're in a weird situation where they don't have a good water source or their pump fails or whatever. So we teach them how to quickly fashion a water bag and then put it on a Roycraft, and they can shuttle water 5 gallons at a time. I don't know if they've ever actually done that, but it's still a fun skill to teach. I got this from my friends Connie and Ingo up in. They're also in our survival networks with Nate. What's their company called, Dale?
Nature's.
I got you.
What they called? Wild by Nature. Wild by Nature, Connie and Ingo. Yeah, so they run a great ship. So essentially, it's the exact same technique that I would use to fold a paper cup, which we may or may not get the chance to do. So it's you take a square and you make a triangle. This is going to be an undersized bag. It should be 5 feet by 5 feet. Plastic, this is more like about 3.5 by 3.5. So a 5 foot square piece of plastic holds 5 gallons of water. So this one's going to hold maybe 1.5 gallons or 2. So I fold this wing over, I fold this wing over. I put this in here like this, fold this back like this. And then I'll put a couple of pebbles in here. And then I'll put a rope for a bail and then a spreader stick. Then I've got a bag that I can hang on the Roycraft. And I do it in such a way that it just has a loop, so the people shuttling water just have to hook the bag on the Roycraft, and away they go. And then but there's one string that comes around to stabilize the water, but it's even comfortable because the water bag bulges through the frame, and it gives you some back comfort as long as it's not leaking on you. So yeah, this is kind of a poor excuse. It's a little small. That would be the size that I would pack for camping, where if I thought I needed a water container, I could quickly fashion one in a couple minutes and folds up pocket size. But yeah. Can anybody add anything, or is there any questions? Oh yeah, Arndale. No, not kidding anybody.
Maybe to prompt you to the story of how you used to bring camp on your back.
Yeah. So in the day when I was doing things a little bit more rustic, I had my kit in actual garbage cans that were not unlike. Well, to be fair, Morris used to pack his camps in too, and I was basically following his. I just did things like he did. So we would pack these essentially smaller garbage cans, big plastic tubs like that with all the gear, and we would pack those in and make our camps, right? And so I followed his footsteps and did the same thing. So a lot of my camps were pseudo-remote. You had to walk a kilometer or two in, and so everything had to be packed in. But yeah, and it was all on Roycrafts. What else are you going to strap a garbage can to? Not a commercial pack. My Trapper Nelson, well, I mean, I could use the frame on my Trapper Nelson, but it's not as handy as a triangle. That's about all I can think of. I mean, there's other things. There's other strategies for quickly whistling up Roycrafts, but you get the magic. Yeah, so very, very versatile frame. Can do a lot of nice, fun things with it, yeah. And thank you for watching TJack Survival.